Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining the Florida Food Policy Council's monthly Florida Food Forum, hosted by the Policy Committee of the Council. I am Del Bashant, and I welcome all to you, uh, and especially those that may be joining us on cyber systems or phone lines, and welcome to all accessing our program in the future through a recording of this event. And I do want to note that all of our Florida Food Forum are posted on the Florida Food Policy Council website. So you can go back and enjoy, over a year of different programs that we presented, which are great for educational purposes. Our topic for this month is Florida Food Festivals. And with us from the council is our Operations and Communication Manager, Kendra Love. And Kendra will handle the technical and managerial aspects of our meeting. And I'm asking Kendra to let us know when we have 5 minutes left in the program so we can do our wrap up and invite people to next month's forum. We are also asking viewers to submit questions using the chat box, and this allows for more questions. And one of the unique features of the Florida Food Forum is the opportunity for folks to send in questions and to actually interact with our guests. We want to take just a moment to let everyone know that the Florida Food Policy Council relies on donations, memberships, and sponsorships for our operations. We are a chartered not-for-profit organization dedicated to advancing the health and security of the Florida food system. Please share support through the donation link on our website. And for information on sponsoring future forum, see our website or contact our operations and communications manager, and that's Kendra Love, who was just speaking. We're pleased to recognize sponsors of the Florida Food Forum, FEED and J. Haskins Law. FEED is FHEED, which stands for Food for Health, Environment, Economy, and Democracy. It's based in Fort Lauderdale, and FEED is a consultancy dedicated to the ideals of its name: food, health, environment, economy, and democracy. It specializes in food systems planning, GIS analysis, advocacy, and education about food systems and healthy communities. The contact for FEED is Anthony Oliveri. J. Haskins Law is located in Tampa, and J. Haskins Law empowers communities with the legal and risk management tools needed to exercise food sovereignty. The contact for J. Haskins Law is Jesse Haskins. We are most appreciative of FEED and J. Haskins Law for sponsoring this month's forum. For information on sponsoring a future forum from your organization or as an individual, see our website or contact our operations and communication manager. Again, that's Kendra Love. The focus for this edition of the Florida Food Forum is Florida's food festivals. And our guests for today are representatives of two of the state's oldest and most well-known festivals, the Florida Seafood Festival in Apalachicola and the Florida Strawberry Festival in Plant City. If you are like me, your mouth is just watering thinking about these festivals and the Florida foods that they celebrate. Also, as a special addition, we'll have Boyzell from the Tampa Bay Collards Festival, who will be on right before the Q&A session starts. A document introducing our presenters for today is posted on the council's website, and if you registered for the event, you have seen the information. As always, my introductions will be brief, so please take a look at the website for more details on the history and achievement of our special and distinguished guests. I will note that the food festivals based on local food production are a vital part of building a sustainable food system and establishing food sovereignty in a community. And like so many other parts of the food system, our beloved Florida food festivals have been severely impacted due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic itself has heightened awareness of the fragility of the industrial food system and maybe reminded us all a little bit of the importance of looking locally for the sources of our food. Importantly, the pandemic has also made communities much more aware of their local growers and local food producers: fishermen, groves persons, vegetable gardens, market gardeners. What is produced locally can be an important part in maintaining not just food security, but also food sovereignty. And so we celebrate them today. To tell us more about the two famous Florida festivals, are fortunate to have two terrific guests, John Solomon and Jennifer Morgan. They're on the screen right now. John is the president of the board of directors of the Florida Seafood Festival, a post he's held for 17 years. He is also the executive director of the Apalachicola Chamber of Commerce, and he is the Franklin County Tourist Development Director. I encourage everyone to take a look at the announcement for today's forum on the Florida Food Policy website to learn more about John and the Seafood Festival. One neat historical note is that the roots of the festival go back to 1914. And in 1963, the Florida legislature gave it the title Florida's oldest marine event, at which time it then became the Florida Seafood Festival. Also joining us is Jennifer Morgan of the Florida Strawberry Festival in Plant City. Jennifer is a Plant City native and a strawberry farmer's daughter. She is a graduate of the University of South Florida as the public relations and media representative of the festival. As with the Seafood Festival, you will see a sketch on our website about the Strawberry Festival and its story. Please take a look at that. Here are a couple of cool facts that got my attention. The festival dates back to 1930, and today it is a celebration of a fruit that is grown on more than 10,000 acres in the Tampa Bay region, and it is the Florida Strawberry Festival. We'll get things started with John's presentation on the Seafood Festival, then turn to Jennifer for the Strawberry Festival. Following Jennifer's presentation, we'll have a quick note from one of the other dozens of food festivals in the state, in this case, the Tampa Bay Collards Festival, and that will be presented by Boyzell. Then, with whatever time is left, we'll have an opportunity for questions and answers. So please send in your questions using the chat box, and we'll get to just as many as we possibly can. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming John Solomon. John?
Welcome, everybody. I certainly appreciate you, everybody taking the opportunity to hear about little old Apalachicola and our Florida Seafood Festival. One thing that I will say and appreciate Dale's introduction is the director of the Chamber of Commerce and the TDC director came many years after the president of the Florida Seafood Festival. Our festival is completely volunteer driven. We have actually 11 board members that volunteer to put on the Florida Seafood Festival and have for at least 20 years been about that amount of volunteers helping put this on. I know we mentioned that after Hurricane Michael, that after 2 weeks after the Hurricane Michael, which hit our area pretty hard, we made the decision to move forward with the Florida Seafood Festival. Those 11 board members did that. And we had 24,000 people attend that year, which was a miracle in itself for a community that thought that we were on the down climb after what happened with the hurricane. Like Dale said, our roots go back to 1914 when the first King Retzio was crowned. It was Mardi Gras at that time. It became Harbor Days. Then it became the Apalachicola Seafood Festival. Then in 1963 is when we became the Florida Seafood Festival, Florida's oldest maritime event. On average, our attendance is about 28 to 29,000 people a year come to our 2-day festival here in Apalachicola. And the Apalachicola residency is 2,500 people. So 10 times the amount of people that live in Apalachicola attend the Seafood Festival each year. So it's a big economic driver for our area and our community. And one thing I can say about all of our directors, myself included, it's only done out of love for the area and for what the festival stands for. I grew up not too far from the festival and was working at the festival, and they suckered me in to get on the board as a volunteer. And within 3 years, they said, "Oh, we want you to be president. It's only a 2-year gig. You're good." That was 15 years ago. So it really, I tell everybody they finally found some moron to take it for longer than 2 years. But it's honestly, it's my passion to volunteer. It's my passion for the industry, because that's what the Florida Seafood Festival does and has since its beginning, is actually we promote and the seafood industry in Franklin County and what it means to the survival of our communities here in Franklin County. And that makes it real important the way things are. And Dale touched on about how this pandemic has affected everything with COVID and not being able to have things. And it's sad to say that this past year was the first year in 58 years that we did not have a seafood festival in Apalachicola. But in 2021, first weekend in November, we're having the Florida Seafood Festival. Um, we've learned where we can do things safely, and by that time, we hope that those protocols can be put in place, and we're going to have it. It may not be what it used to be or as big as it was, but we started somewhere before, and we can start again. The one thing I was watching something today about resiliency, and it was something the state and the governor was doing for our children. And I told Kendra that that is something that we don't think about very often when we're actually doing it. Eyes were put in the front of our head, not in the back, so we can see forward, not behind us. So we have to move forward in what we do. Some of the policies we've had to deal with that came upon us in the same year as COVID, they have now closed our Apalachicola Bay for wild oyster harvesting. Um, as you can tell by our logos and everything else, that's kind of a big deal for the Florida Seafood Festival. We're hoping that things can progress forward and we can be involved in those policy changes that we can, move forward. They do have aquaculture here in our bay at the moment, and last year we even, to respect the sustainability of our wild caught oysters, did use aquaculture oysters at the festival in 2019. So not to put as much pressure, because you can imagine 20 something thousand people coming to an area to eat oysters would put a little bit of a dent in an already, damaged environment. So we took the course of purchasing, aquaculture oysters instead of the wild harvest, but still promoting how the wild harvest is done and what it's meant to our community over the years, and how it's supported our area. Um, if I'm a better person, that I answer questions really well, and if I actually talked about the seafood festival 10 minutes or 2 hours probably would not be enough. Like I've said in the past, it is my passion. It's something that, never been paid a dime for. And I say all the time, if I did get paid to do it, I'd probably quit, because there's no way you could pay somebody enough to entertain 24,000 people in a matter of 2 days and not have a little bit of angst about it. But when you're volunteering, you forget about that, the problems. You always look to the future and look how good it's become. I know in when I started, the attendance was around 16,000 at its max, and we always have a philosophy with the Seafood Festival. We do not change what we do; we enhance what we do. On the screen, you'll see pictures of the Seafood Festival. Some are from early 90s, some are from the 80s, some are from the 2000s. You probably won't be able to tell much of a difference, because it's still the same. The only difference you'll always see with us, and I was telling Dale before we started, the logo changes every year. There's one constant, and that's King Rezio, our representative, oyster spelled backwards. Um, he will be on all of our shirts moving forward, and has been for the last 20 something years. Um, if you don't see him on a shirt, he's hidden somewhere on the shirt, and you'll be able to find him. It's kind of like a Where's Waldo game. But when we started growing, we realized that our audience was looking at more fair items, and we decided, no, we want more education. And we put in a big maritime exhibit. We put in our nonprofit area, which, like any festival, we charge for, spots for food booths and for arts and crafts. But we decided not to charge for nonprofits anymore. We decided that on our food booths, that only local nonprofit groups without pay could serve our local seafood at the Seafood Festival. So not only are we promoting what we have here in Franklin County, but also the groups are able to make money to support their organizations and moving forward. And we kind of, a few years back, got the moniker of the granddaddy of them all. and we've used it quite a bit over the years because we felt like if we're helping everybody else in the community, they'll support us even more, and it became larger and larger each year. Another thing you probably heard me say is there is 11 board members, 11 volunteers. Nobody gets paid anything to do it. Nobody gets extra benefits. One of the things that we always say is if you can benefit from the seafood festival, let you go and let you benefit it, will support you. But if you're here for the benefit of the seafood festival, we'd like you to be on our board because that helps know that the dedication and trust is for the festival, not for personal business. Not that we discourage it, but that we also would like for the festival to have first attention. And it's worked over the years. And we joke and say when we get a new board member, they are over the parade. If they can make it through 1 year of the parade, then they can be on the board from there on out because that's the hardest thing. Somehow I avoided that 20 years ago, and they have joked with me many times about you never did the parade. You've done everything else. I'm like, I'm the president now. I don't have to do the parade. So, but as far as what this forum goes to, we've had issues over the years with red tide. And there's a funny story out there that I tell everybody, and I'll probably end with this because I know it's probably getting close to the time. Is my first year as vice president, I was the second year on the board. Our president refused to do television interviews. And the TV camera popped up and wanted to do an interview. She ran faster than anybody I've ever seen run the opposite direction and said, John's here, he can do it. Well, I told the news crew, I said, listen, I've never done a TV interview. I've never talked on camera. I really don't know what I'm doing here. Could you help me and kind of tell me what you're going to ask me? Of course, what's your name? How long the festival been going on? I've been the festival historian for years. I knew all this stuff. Well, the first question that they asked was, well, since there's red tide in the bay this year and the bay's been closed for 4 months, how are y'all able to have the seafood festival? Well, during the headlights look, I said, well, years ago, Apalachicola helped Galveston Bay provide spat to their bay after a hurricane. Well, it replenished their bay. And this year, with our bay being closed, we called on Galveston and got our oysters from Galveston, Texas. And so technically, they're second generation Apalachicola oysters. The guy was satisfied with his answer and continued to ask regular, non-evasive questions. And the interview was over, and the camera guy put his stuff up and walked away. And 3 board members were standing next to me, and they go, "How did you think of that so fast?" I said, "God, I hope it's true because I made it up." So that's been the history now for 17 years of we got our oysters from Galveston Bay, which were second generation Apalachicola oysters. But fortunately now we have our aquaculture oysters and we can get them from there. So, and Dale, I can let you take it from here.
Great, thanks. Yeah, excellent. Very informative and wonderful to see your passion and your enthusiasm for this. And I think what John brings to the Florida Seafood Festival is probably emblematic of the kind of interest and passion that the leaders of our various food festivals around the state have. We love doing this, and that's where our commitment is where our heart is. So it really shows, and it shows in your work, John. So thank you so much. Stay with us, and we're going to come back for some Q&A a little bit later. But now we want to welcome Jennifer Morgan. Introduce Jennifer just a moment. Native of Plant City and the communications director for the Florida Strawberry Festival. So Jennifer, please tell us more.
Hi, guys. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you. You look great.
Well, I appreciate that compliment. I'm excited to be here on behalf of the Florida Strawberry Festival. We are very, very busy right now. Our festival opens in less than a week.
Wow.
So we are very busy around here. But I will tell you that I think out of all the festivals in our 86 years, I mean, it's been a really long time to have a festival, and it's hard to compare, what those times were like during those war times and things like that. But I feel incredibly blessed to be a part of this organization during this time. In light of a lot of the things that John said, and I'm sure most of us are feeling this way. So the good thing is that we're all in good company, is that we feel incredibly blessed to have been able to have our festival. And right after we closed our festival, in 2020 was when the pandemic really hit our area. And it was devastating for some of the local fairs and festivals in our state that within days were shut down after our event. And then we're just really hoping and praying that for this new year and our festival that's coming up, like I said, in less than a week, that we're given the opportunity again to bless our community, bless those exhibitors and vendors that have come from across the globe, literally, to participate in our event. And we're just so honored to be able to host them and to give back to our community that gives so much to us. Like John mentioned, we have a board of volunteers, 24 board members, directors and associates that volunteer their time to help put this event on. But we cannot have our event without the community support of more than 8,000 volunteers within our community and within local counties and states that come just simply to be a part of this event. I remember growing up as a little girl coming to the Florida Strawberry Festival, and it was like Disney to me. So it's incredibly humbling to be able to work for this organization. And once I got an opportunity to work for the festival, I realized how big it truly is and what it truly does for our community. And I'm so proud to be a part of it. The Florida Strawberry Festival began in 1935, and it was a way that the local producers wanted to give back to the community as a thank you for the harvest that helped to support the city of Plant City during a very, very challenging time, an economically challenging time. And to be able to sit here and to talk about this event and how it's grown over the years and how this industry that we're a part of has flourished over the years, you know, in the digital age in which we live in, and how things are growing and changing, and to be able to still have this slice of Americana that is here that just continues to evolve is incredible. And to be able to think about how many volunteers we have and people that come from all over the globe to help support us, and these vendors and exhibitors that they still have this tenacious excitement that comes with every year anticipating this event is just wonderful. And I'm, again, like I said, I'm honored to be a part of it, and honored to have been brought up in the city of Plant City and to be able to give back to my community in this way. We are the winter strawberry capital of the world. That is something that we're very proud of here in itty bitty little Plant City. I know that if I go anywhere and I tell anybody that I'm from Plant City, sometimes I get nervous if they're going to know where that's at. But it's amazing how many people in the city of Plant City, whether it's north or south or east or west of the continent, like the country, that they know where Plant City is located, you know, nestled between Orlando and Tampa. And they know us because of the Florida Strawberry Festival. A few things that I want to highlight about the festival, just are some of the things that we don't like to put out there, but we certainly want to highlight because we are an agriculture fair, and we want to certainly support the youth in our community. And a few things that I want to briefly mention, even though in light of the pandemic, which was certainly a struggle, it happened to be our third most successful festival to date. And we certainly cannot complain about that. Like I said, we are very fortunate. And I say this, but we always open up every meeting here at the festival with a word of prayer, because it is incredibly important to us to give thanks. And we certainly feel like we are very, very blessed here at the Florida Strawberry Festival. And we hope that those blessings will continue to flow. So we're very proud of that under those unprecedented circumstances that I'm sure we are all feeling the effects of now. And hopefully we're on the back end of that. But we're certainly proud of that. Also, on top of that, our Livestock Committee, which again, like John, is comprised of a group of volunteers who want to help support the youth in our community in order to give back so they can become local producers in our community. We gave over $35,000 in scholarship money just from our ag committee. As far as our livestock shows go, we have 7 livestock shows that we have here at the festival, either with poultry, rabbits, lambs, steer, swine. Those shows all together, we have about 300 exhibitors, give or take a few every year. And the net sales of our steer, swine, and plants were a little under $1 million this past year. In 2020, on top of that, we were able to award over $40,000 in premiums. And that kind of gave us a grand total of a little where close roughly to $1.3 million that we were able to give back to the youth in our community. We are very, very proud of that. And it's a small way in which we can reward all of their hard work, which I think is important for the youth in our community today. We are very proud that we are in the top 5 in the nation of the youth ag programs. And to be able to say that Florida is a part of that top 5 and that we can contribute a small part of that as the Florida Strawberry Festival, we're very, very proud to do that. Every year, we partner with the food bank that's in our area. And I believe this past year, through the efforts of our Strawberry Ball that we have to celebrate all of the hard work of our volunteers and our directors and associate directors, that we were able to give, I believe, $25,000 to that organization. And that gives back to the families and the youth in our community. And in light of this past year, we were so blessed to be able to still be able to do that, because we were able to have our festival before the pandemic hit. And, you know, it's just crazy the way that things work and how we were still able to donate that money, and how greatly so our community needed that. And to not think that that is a divine intervention, I feel like in my part would be very ignorant. So I want to certainly communicate that was a wonderful opportunity that we were given. We are also able to host several churches and charity organizations during our 11-day event. They park cars, sell waters, seat cushions, and things like that. We always like to give back to our community in that way as well. And I believe this year, those churches and those other charities that worked and volunteered their time during our event, we were able to give a little less than $80,000 to those communities, and they give right back to our community as well. Other than that, I feel like I'm giving so much information, but I give that information because I want you to know that, you know, we are so incredibly blessed to be able to have this event. And in light of the pandemic this year, I certainly don't want to lead with a negative, but we were unfortunately unable to host our headlining entertainment for this year. And that was certainly a big blow. We know that a lot of our guests and patrons anticipate those headlining entertainers. But I really think, like John, this gave us an opportunity to really reflect this year and think about what's important. And I really think that, you know, that strawberry harvest that has helped to sustain us for 86 years is incredibly important. And to be able to give back to our community that supports us year after year, and to that industry and those producers that help to put on this 11-day event is worthy. I really appreciate you guys giving me an opportunity to talk. I certainly hope I haven't taken up too much of your time, but a little bit about me. My job is to help support the festival, to promote the 11-day event. We have put a lot of measures in place and answered a lot of questions in regards to the pandemic and the planning and preparing that we are putting forth to those issues. We have been in close contact almost daily, weekly, hourly, it seems, with our local county and state health departments, as well as the CDC, to make sure that we are following their recommendations and mandates, if there are any, to make sure that we are keeping our guests safe and doing, the best that we can. We have a huge document that we have, gone through and the ins and outs to try to do our part to maintain social distancing and keep our guests and patrons and our volunteers safe. And that's our goal for this 2021 event, and to have fun. I feel like there is a level of normalcy people want to regain. We're hearing a lot of chatter here that everybody's excited that the festival's happening. And we're really looking towards having a successful and fun event. And I hope that we are pleasantly surprised about what comes from 2021. So I hope, again, like I said, I hope I haven't taken up too much of your time, but I appreciate those questions that you have about our festival, and I'm ready to answer those.
Well, that was just terrific, Jennifer and John, both two wonderful presentations. And I really have a sense that with both of you, you could have still been talking, that you both have so much more to say about the event that you love and treasure so very, very much. And there's a lot of questions kind of embedded in both of your presentations. And I saw some of the questions coming up in the chat box, and we'll get to as many as we possibly can. However, we are going to have one more special last minute guest, and that's Boyzell from the Tampa Bay Collards Festival. So Kendra, if we have Boyzell on the line or visually available, let's put him up there.
All right, Boyzell, are you with us?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
All right, let me spotlight you. All right.
Boyzell, welcome. Tell us about the festival. And I was familiar with a Collards Greens Festival in St. Petersburg a while back. I don't know if this is the same one or not, but tell us more about what you're doing.
Well, first of all, thank you, Del, and everyone for the opportunity. I'm not sure about a previous festival, but we started the Tampa Bay Collard Greens Festival in 2018. And let me just say that this is so inspiring to hear you all speak. Jennifer, when you talk about the Strawberry Festival, we first said, wow, maybe someday the Collard Green Festival can be like the Strawberry Festival. And then after we realized, what we're getting into of running a festival, we're like, wait a minute, maybe not so much. It's just a lot of work. We actually stumbled into this thing because of our technique of cooking collard greens through a pressure cooker, right? And we can do collard greens in about 30 minutes. And when we started sharing the story of how easy it was with people, a lot of folks didn't believe us. And we said, well, maybe we can serve greens at the MLK parade. And that didn't come to light. And one day, me and my co-founder, Samantha Harris, we said, hey, let's start a collard green festival. And we laughed at that notion. And then we said, wait a minute, And so the more we shared the idea, the more we became aware that we were actually hitting on some tenets that were already happening, like this huge urban agriculture movement. And then we said, well, if we did that, then perhaps this is an opportunity to spread the word and educate the community, especially in communities that are suffering because of food inequities. Here in St. Pete, in the Midtown area, there's a lot of food deserts. And so people were saying, yeah, this is a great opportunity, because what we try to do with the festival is use the storytelling around the foods that we love, and of course, collard greens being the star. So we use the storytelling around collard greens to attract an audience, and then to give the word, right? And so we're not experts by any means, right? I am not a green thumb. I do cook some mean collard greens, I will admit. But like I said, the more we shared the idea, you say, okay, so we've got the culinary experience, right? The nutrition, the fitness, wrapped in family fun. So based on that framing, we set out to build the Collard Green Festival, and it was a hit from day one. As a matter of fact, when we set out to establish our 501c3, our accountant was so excited about the idea that he basically gave us the service for free, right? So we established our 501c3 and shared this idea and built this festival from a seed of an idea. And last year, we had about 3,000 people show up right in the heart of Midtown, St. Petersburg. We partnered with the Carter G. Woodson African American Museum, and we had some pretty good partners, such as the Healthy Start with All Children's, John Hopkins Hospital, the American Culinary Federation of Tampa Bay jumped on board. And we got lucky, or as Jennifer would say, we were blessed in our first year, and we got celebrity chef Eduardo Jordan, who is from St. Petersburg, but has a couple of highly successful restaurants in the Seattle area, and he was our first celebrity chef. And ever since then, we've been off to the races, and we do understand what a great opportunity we have to do some good in the community. And so, we're trying to grow this thing in the right way. That's where we're so honored to be in the presence of John and Jennifer and so many others, so that we can learn and continue to build in the right way. And if we're going to scale up in the right way. But we did push our festival to May 15th of this year. We intentionally targeted to have the festival in February, Black History Month, the second week. And we've been blessed every year to have no rain. It's been beautiful. And we try to time it on President's Day weekend, because we feel that as the festival catches on, it's not just something for our local community, but the Tampa Bay area at large, and the rest of the country, because who wouldn't want to come to this area in the middle of winter? So, but this year, because of the pandemic, we wanted to be mindful. So we've shifted to a hybrid festival, which will be a virtual and a giveaway. So I don't want to take up too much time, but last year, unbeknownst to us, one of our partners, the St. Pete Free Clinic, they asked us, could they give away some free collard greens? And we said, yeah. And we didn't realize that they were going to pull up with a half of a semi-trailer full of collard greens, right? And they basically, everybody who attended the festival got fresh collard greens, and that was just a hit. So we asked them, would they be willing to do that again? And so that's what we're centerpiecing. So we're going to have a drive-through giveaway, and we're asking all of our partners, if you want to give something back to the community, then you can be a part of this festival. And we're going to mitigate. We're trying to mitigate, exposure by limiting walk-up activities. But we're going to have some. We're still going to have a fitness component. We'll have a few food trucks and enough things to attract people. But we're trying to get information there, to our community and beyond, to help inspire people to live healthier lives. And so you can check us out on our website. If you Google Collard Green Festival, there's a few around the country. There's one in Sarasota, Big Mama's. But if you Google Collard Green Festivals, we are the #1 hit. But it's simple. It's the Tampa Bay Collard Green Festival.org. This year we got smart and we abbreviated it to tbcgf.org, so that'll come up as well. And our website is updated. We have a web page, and we're running. My full-time job, I am a deputy editor for the Tampa Bay Times, and I run the photography department. So I won't be bashful in saying that I have used my platform to help the festival out in ways to help it grow. But that's a good thing for us as an organization, and a good thing for the community.
That's great. Boyzell Hosey is how you pronounce your last name. I only had your first name, so I apologize for not having your second name on there. What a great job you're doing, and what a wonderful compliment to what John has presented, as well as what Jennifer has presented. I'm excited about the Collard Greens Festival, the Tampa Bay Collard Greens Festival. We have a small but older Collard Greens Festival in Newport Richey, just as a point of note. And we can talk about that in a moment. We're going to open up to questions now, but one thing that I want to put out there for the four of us really at this point, and others that might be calling in, to the best of my knowledge, there is not a consortium or organization of the various food festivals in Florida. John, Jennifer, Boyzell, are you familiar with one?
I'm not.
No.
There isn't one. So I'm going to take this initiative and step out as a representative of the Florida Food Policy Council and say, see if we might stay in touch with each other, and see if we might move in the direction of actually forming at least a ad hoc group or a coalition of some sort that brings together the folks that are working on our various festivals. there's so many points where we could learn from one another and benefit from one another. So I'm putting that out there for us, and I'm going to follow up with each of you on this. And and it's funny because I know everybody's busy as heck. Y'all are so darn busy with the festival. You say, I don't have time for another thing. Make even just an informal network that would at least make known to the greater Florida community, the various festivals that are available that are being done for the benefit of the local community. So I'm gonna step out and see if I can't get a little bit of traction from that with Kendra, and maybe Kendra can help me do that. Kendra, would that be okay if you and I volunteer to do that?
Yeah, that sounds great. And anyone who is on our forum today or in the future viewing us through the cyberspace, please get in contact with us because we would love to add you to that list or get you involved.
Okay, that's great, Kendra. Now what I want to do in the interest of time, we have about 10, 12 minutes left. Let's open it up to the questions, and as we always do, we ask Kendra to field the questions from the chat box, and she'll direct them to each of our presenters or to individual presenters as the case may be. So Kendra, it's opened up to you now, and get some questions for us.
All right. So thanks again, everyone, for sticking with us. Our first question, I believe this is going to go to John. There were a few questions about the festival. The first one was, how many vendors do you typically have? And also, what area is considered local for the festival?
Yeah, I'm looking at the questions, and if you don't mind, I'll hit the third one as well, Ms. Kendra. We typically have 96 arts and crafts vendors, 35 food vendors, with 14 of those being local nonprofit groups. We have about 50 nonprofit booths and about 35 commercial booths. So if anybody wants to do the math, I didn't feel like doing it. But what is considered local for the festival, Franklin County is the basis of local, although we do have and we do encourage people from Gulf County and nonprofit organizations that if they would like to do something in the area, there are neighboring county and also benefit from the seafood industry in Franklin County. So basically Franklin County, but also included is in Gulf County. We've had a couple of queens from Gulf County schools, so we definitely don't want to exclude them. Hurricane Michael is the hurricane that hit us in October of 2018, the Category 5 storm. We're pretty hit hard. There's a video, I believe, that Kendra's going to put up, shows footage of the grounds where the Seafood Festival is held that shows the decimation of that area. Our fish populations were not damaged as much as they have been in the past from other hurricanes. The small businesses were hit pretty hard. And to be honest with you, having the festival helped survive those small businesses. We actually got a proclamation from our city thanking us for holding the Florida Seafood Festival after Hurricane Michael. And the mayor said something that we had not even thought about. And to me, I'm humble when it comes to these things. I don't even think about it. But having the Florida Seafood Festival may have saved Apalachicola in Franklin County, because at that one point when the television cameras left us the 2 days after Hurricane Michael, there was no more coverage of what was open, if we survived, if we were still here. They videoed us as the trees were coming down, the roofs were coming off, and the water came up. Our office had 3.5 foot of water in it, but they didn't come back to say they were open. So having the festival just 2 weeks after the hurricane kind of got the publicity out there that we were actually ready to receive people and get moving again.
Thank you, John. The next question, why don't we go to Jennifer? There was one specifically about the strawberries. Ashley said, I'm always surprised that I don't see Plant City strawberries in local grocers. Do you supply to local grocers?
Well, I was surprised to see your question too, Ashley. I know I ask the same question myself when I go to the grocery store. Why am I not seeing Plant City strawberries in the stores? The Florida Strawberry Festival does not supply strawberries. We get our strawberries for our 11-day event through local producers and brokers. Two of the farms that either donate berries or sell them on our grounds are Wish Farms. And I believe the other one is Parksdale Farms. That might be ring a bell with some of you. And other local producers provide the berries that are used either in strawberry food items or shortcake. Those come from other local producers within the city.
Thank you, Jennifer. There is one other question, and I know you touched on it a little bit, but if you want to just elaborate a little more, there was another question about what precautions were all of the, I guess this is for all of the festivals, but Jennifer, if you want to start, what are some of the precautions that are being taken for COVID safety?
Well, I can run down a brief list of the things that we are planning and prepared to execute. But I also want to preface that with, since this is an ever evolving situation, we are making sure, and I think I mentioned it earlier, that daily, weekly, sometimes even hourly, we are in close communication with the local, county, and state health departments and the CDC. So we can always be forwarding the correct current information to our guests and our volunteers. Anything that is listed on the CDC website are the protocol that we're following. Just to give you a brief idea, we're strongly encouraging our guests and patrons to wear masks. Anyone that is volunteering or is being employed by the festival during those 11 days is required to wear a mask. I almost kind of feel like we've gone over and above and beyond, but I mean, there's always room, we're going to shoot for the moon. Let's just put it that way. We have gathered a COVID response committee here at the festival that is comprised of doctors, community stakeholders, people that are well versed in infectious disease and those kind of things to help comprise this committee. And that committee goes forward and they communicate with those, the health department, and make sure that we're following the protocols that we need to follow to keep our guests safe. But as far as, masks, encouraging social distancing, I think we've put in over 130 hand sanitizing stations on top of the hand washing stations that we already have. We have more open area facilities, roving acts to keep people at a social 6 feet distance. We've put in protocols on top of the additional things that we have added in years past as far as E. coli goes. And now with COVID, all of these other measures that we've given our vendors and our exhibitors. We have partnered with EcoShield, who has already come out to our grounds, sanitized anything. I mean, from the tents to the buildings to the chairs to the drapes. And then every evening or morning before the gates open, everything is, all the buildings are sprayed again, the restrooms. I mean, anything you can imagine, we are going above and beyond to keep our community safe. And so those are just a few things. Again, like I said, we have a 15-page document where we've gone through and tried to do the best that we can. But in all fairness, it all is directly from the CDC and those recommendations that they have given to us. And again, like I said, that's an ever evolving thing. And we're just doing the best that we can to put on a safe and fun event for a community that I think is longing for it. Sorry, John. Sorry, Boyzell. I didn't mean to take up all the time, but yeah.
I think Boyzell had mentioned some of the protocols that were in place for the Tampa Bay Collards Festival. And so, Boyzell, you want to reiterate those folks in the Tampa Bay region that might be going to your event?
Yeah, well, one of the things that we did this year was to shift to a hybrid festival and really emphasize the drive-up part of it, and trying to mitigate exposure through limiting walk-up activities, but realizing that we are in a community that will have a lot of pedestrian traffic. So we're doing that. As Jennifer said, we'll be following CDC guidelines, using masks, having hand sanitizers available. Luckily, we're just a one-day festival, not 11 days. And we have some, health partners on our team as well, such as, John Hopkins All Children's Hospital and Simply Healthcare and other people as well to advise us on this.
That's great. Kendra, one last question, I think, maybe two at the most.
So we did have a question from Kitty, I believe, which was, how can gardens or farms participate in these festivals?
I'll just jump in, and that's a key component to what we do. Like, we're a small festival, but each year we have highlighted community gardens, like the Bartlett Park Community Garden and other other local gardening outfits. We have an urban youth farm here in St. Petersburg that is prominent, that will be on display, and that's a program that's made up of local high schoolers. They just broke ground on their urban farm on MLK Day, and they're doing some great things, so they'll be highlighted as well. Gibbs High School has a program for students that are aging out of the program that may have some learning challenges and or abilities, and so we highlight them as well. And as we learn more and as we grow, that whole agriculture component is a big part of what we do, and we're glad to see that some policy is being affected. I'm not saying that we are directly responsible for that, but I do know that the festival has been mentioned on the House of the Senate floor as they try to pass some of these agricultural bills and locally. So that benefits us and the community, we believe.
Yeah, I agree completely with that observation, Boyzell. Festivals are part of a larger agrarian movement that's happening around the nation and certainly in the state of Florida. That festivals sometimes are seen as like a standalone event, almost like a fair. It's a one-off kind of deal, and it's fun. We go and we eat the collards or the strawberries or the oysters, whatever it might be that we do, and then we go back to our homes and watch TV or do whatever we do. I think from a policy standpoint, which is obviously what we do at the Florida Food Policy Council, we think of policy and how anything that we do impacts policy and what policies can be affected that can help us in any of the projects that we're working on. But the degree to which a festival, a food festival, is successful, to that same degree, it can also enrich and encourage local production and local participation in the food system, wherever you may be. Whether you're in an urban area such as St. Petersburg or Tampa, or in a more rural area like Plant City, which is just surrounded by all the great farms there, or whether you're in a marine environment, all of those different festivals can play into the development of local food systems and local food supply. So that's kind of the one wrap-up point that I want to make. It's not always just the festival, but it's often much more than that as it relates to food security and food sovereignty in an area. That's just about it for today. I wish we did have more time, and we're thinking about perhaps even expanding our Florida food forums to another half hour, perhaps. It looks like this would be a day for that. But unfortunately, we do have only the 1 hour to work with. I want to thank John, Jennifer, and Boyzell so much from the bottom of my heart. I'm excited about your events. I wish I could get to them. Maybe I'll be able to. Just wonderful, wonderful adventures in what can be done with the food system with passion and commitment. There's a lot of questions that are still out there, and I know that Kendra can forward those on. But to wrap up, I'd like Kendra to tell us a little bit more about our next forum, which will be the last Friday in March. So Kendra, could you lead us out with a little bit of information about what's coming?
Yes, so well, first, thank you to our amazing speakers today and all that you do to support local in Florida. It's truly amazing, and thank you, Del, for being our moderator and also the organizer of a number of festivals, which we will get to in a future forum. Our next forum is going to be the last Friday of the month in March. So that will be March 26th at the same time from 12 to 1 p.m. And our topic is going to be Food is Not a Human Right, Issues in Food Democracy. So it's going to be a very important topic, and our two speakers are going to be Will Schonbacher, who is an assistant professor of religious studies at the University of South Florida, and Lana Chehabedine, who is the public health program coordinator for FLIPANY, which is Florida Introduces Physical Activity and Nutrition to Youth. So the event is posted to our Eventbrite. You can register, and it will be up on our Facebook, and a recording of this forum today will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, to our website, and links on our social media as well by Monday.
Okay, thank you so much, Kendra. And again, thank you from the bottom of my heart to John, Jennifer, and Boyzell. This was an exciting 1 hour event. I wish it could have gone longer, and we'll have to plan to do another one. And I do want to sow the seed right now for the possibility of those of us that are working on food festivals around the state, maybe at least to create an informal network for communication purposes and for promotion of our various festivals. That's it for now. I want to thank everyone that tuned in and joined us, for the many people that had questions. And I want to encourage everyone once again, please support the Florida food forums and the Florida Food Policy Council. We are supported only through donations, sponsorships, and memberships. Please do that. And finally, a big thank you to FEED, FHEED, and to Judge Haskins Law for sponsoring this festival. I want to say goodbye to everyone. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and we'll see you in about a month. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.